Guys, look at this. Look closely. Gorgeous, isn't it? Howdy folks, and welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. On this episode, we're going to be making a brown sugar spice cake. Now this is a delicious, delicious recipe. It's an old recipe. It goes way back, way before me. Okay, this is a family recipe that goes way, way, way back. It is a very specific recipe in how it has to be prepared. And it's kind of fun to make. So I think you're going to have a real good time on this one. You get something delicious and fun. Now folks, this is a perfect cake for the holiday season. And everybody should have something wonderful like this to prepare for their kids. So I'll tell you what, let me show you how to make one of the most magnificent tasting spice cakes. And I'm going to also show you how to make a fantastic frosting to go on top of it. Oh, it's good. Come on, let's get one in there. Guys, look at all this. So many things, 14 different ingredients, like I said, right here. The butter we use twice, okay? We have a lot of stuff here, guys, so I'll tell you what, come a little closer, let me go over all the ingredients, I'll tell you what all we're going to use and the exact measurements. So as you see, we have all of this stuff. Now your ingredients by measurement, right here, this is milk, 1 cup of milk, 1 1/2 cups of brown sugar. That's packed, okay? This is 2 1/2 cups of sifted flour. So what I had to do is I had to take some flour and sift it and then remeasure it to get the 2 1/2 cups of sifted flour. My other ingredients, 3 egg yolks, not the whole eggs, guys. Down here you're going to have a 1/2 cup of butter. That's 1 stick. On these leavenings and spices, what you're going to need here, this is 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder. Your spices, those wonderful flavors, on the cinnamon, 1 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon of cloves, and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, 2 teaspoons of grated orange rind. And for our frosting, this isn't as cloyingly sweet as a lot of those buttercreams. Most buttercream frostings will have about 2 cups of sugar to 1 stick of butter, and that's really, really sweet. So this one has 1 1/2 cups of confectioner's sugar, that's powdered sugar, to 1 cup of butter, that's 1 stick, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Okay, let's get busy cooking up a yummy cake. Okay guys, we need to get busy combining our flour with our leavenings and salt and spices. What I want to do is start by placing some of my flour, which remember, in order to measure this out, I had to pre-sift it. So 1 and about 1/2. Like I said, all of my spices and leavenings right in there. We're going to sift them together. I'm going to drop in the rest of my flour. Guys, let me tell you something. If this sifting process seems silly, really, really it is not. Some of the finest textured cakes require sifting, okay? And what you're doing is you're breaking the flour loose and making it lighter, basically incorporating air into it, and it affects the texture of what you make. We have a matter of that orange to deal with, this guy right here. We needed a couple of teaspoons of the orange rind. All right guys, we have our orange down in here, all of our spices, our flour is ready to go. We have to start with our butter. Now your temperature on all of your ingredients, guys, really needs to be room temperature. This butter has been sitting out for a couple of hours and it's now room temperature. Now what I need to do is to cream together my sugar and my butter, and then we're going to start working in other ingredients, all right? What we're going to be doing here is starting with the butter and making it light and fluffy. So guys, I want you to take a different view, look down into my bowl over here, and know what we're going to be doing. Now I like doing these tight close-up shots so you can get a good view of exactly what's really going on. One of the things that helped teach me when I was younger about how to properly make these things was to actually see what was happening inside the mixing bowl as it was happening, because things change, okay? The butter is going to become a lighter color. See how yellow it is right now? Look at the color of that butter back here, guys. You can see it's quite yellow. We're going to turn it much lighter, and we're going to be working air into it. So that's called creaming. See there how that is just kind of gently moving it around? You can see how soft it was. So here we go. Now we're going to work that air into it. If you don't have a mixer, you can do this with a whisk also. Guys, if you'll look at my timer back here, we're just over a minute. Look at the color change. You see how it has turned a much lighter, almost white color? All right, I'm going to run it again, but you can see the effect is already starting to take. There we go. That was one more minute. Now what we have to do is we have to cream in our sugar, and I'm not going to throw all of it in there at once. You want to put that in there just a bit at a time. So here's the first half a cup, almost. Just let it go in there. Add a little more. Now I'm not going to put all of that sugar in. I'm going to let that cream for a minute, and then I'm going to add more of the sugar. So you can see the different characteristics, the different textures and effects that form as the sugar slowly gets creamed into that mixture. So it's time. We're going to put those eggs in. One of the biggest mistakes you can make on any mixer, no matter what the brand is throwing ingredients in there when it's running at a high speed, because it's going to throw them back out at you. All right, so slow it down, get the ingredients worked in, and then speed it up. Now guys, as we have the cake mixture being made, I'm going to take my stick of butter and I'm going to rub it all over the pan that I'm going to be using. Now we are using for this a standard loaf pan. This is about 8.5 by 4-inch loaf pan. Now guys, just put a little bit of flour in there. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a few tablespoons maybe, and run it all the way around. And slow this down a little. I'm going to have to start working in my flour and my milk. 1 cup at a time, or 1 little scoop at a time I should say, on my flour. And a little milk. I want to forewarn you folks, don't let your kids lick the beater or the bowl or the spatula or anything else. Remember, you have raw egg in there, and it was mixed with room temperature ingredients. Okay, so you don't need to run any risk like that. All right guys, as you've seen, we haven't mixed that very long. It was mixed on a low speed. That way we didn't change our textures any, okay? So we have this beautiful, beautiful texture in the bowl. Now look at the shapes that it makes, the stretched, pulled shapes, and that's part of the character of this particular batter. Now when I was talking to you earlier about, I learned a lot from looking into the bowl. When you learn about those textures like that, you know what you're looking for in your product, in your end product. So this is how we learn. We find out, we see the way it's supposed to be, and then we move towards doing it ourselves. Okay guys, here is that nasty little pan that I fixed up. It's going to do just fine, trust. All right, my cake mixture right down into it. And what I'm doing is just kind of getting this evened out in my loaf pan. I want I want that mixture to be level across the top. All right, down in the oven it goes. All right, there it is in the oven. That's going to be about 40 to 50 minutes, guys, so kind of keep an eye on it. And the way we test a cake to see if it's done, we think that it's about there, we put a toothpick in the top center of it. If that toothpick comes out with any wet batter on it, well, you know it's not done. And if it comes out dry, you know it's ready to come out of the oven. You don't want to overcook it. You don't want to dry it out. So guys, now we just wait, okay? That thing has to cook. Here guys, this is out of the oven and it's had time to cool. And if you'll notice, it kind of went over the edges a little bit. Don't worry about that, because what we have to do is level this off anyway. Right along the top of the pan. This part we're going to discard. Now don't discard it, for heaven's sakes, just enjoy it, okay? And there is our cake. Just like this. There we go. It's not perfect, it's a little bit torn. But guess what, guys? We're going to be frosting it, so it's not an issue. Don't worry about that, okay? Okay, we have started our butter for that buttercream. Let's get it going and make this stuff. Okay guys, that's been going at it for a couple of minutes, and I'm just going to start working this sugar right down into it. Now guys, at this time I'm going to go ahead and put my vanilla in there. And there we go guys, this is ready. I'm just going to scrape down that bowl and get it over on my cake. Now watch what I have here. Got buttercream. Now there's a little bit left in the bowl. I'm not in a rush to get every bit of it. What I want to do is just get a beautiful thin layer of buttercream over the whole thing. Very gently. I'm just going to bring it up the sides here. So if you would, just gently work yours out the exact same way. And there we have it, folks. One spice cake. Well, there it is, guys. Beautiful brown sugar spice cake. And a lovely buttercream frosting. I love that stuff. It's so delicious. I know, I'm not the world's best at icing a cake. I've never been very good at that. But the flavor of the recipe, man, it's off the hook. So let me turn this here. We're going to get this cut and a piece of it put on plate. There we go. Guys, look at this. Look closely. Gorgeous, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful cake. The structure's flawless. Now that's good. The cake, guys, the cake is velvety soft. It's moist. Spice running through it. It's not overwhelming. It doesn't knock you backward, but it's just flat delicious. This is a really, really good recipe. Fantastic tasting and not that difficult. There's a lot of stuff in it, yes, but guys, come on, give it a shot. You're gonna love this one. Thank you for watching Texas Cooking Today. Thank you to my subscribers. Guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting on? I have great recipes, wonderful techniques all of the time. So subscribe, let me show you what's coming out next. You're gonna love it. If you would, please click like, leave me a comment down below there. I do appreciate that. And one last thing, guys, if you would, just have a good day. Bye-bye.